Jaguars at the Ravens is next. The Ravens open up -14. It's still 14. So who do you like here?
I like the Jaguars for 2 to 4 units in this one. And there are a few reasons. One, Gardner Minshew is back. He's starting. Evidently, the Mike Glennon gravy train ran out last week. So Doug Marrone decided to go back to Minshew, who played well earlier in the season at times. Then he kind of struggled a little bit and then hurt his thumb. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him back and if he was impacted by the I don't hate Minnesota. I just want to say I read that comment. I don't hate Minnesota. I just am going against them because the Bears. I guess I have maybe anti-Kirk Cousins bias because I covered him in Washington. But yeah, anyway, that I don't hate Minnesota.
I never got the vibe that you hated Minnesota. That was a surprising comment.
Yeah, if I get it again, maybe I'll go back and start like becoming a Minnesota hater. I probably won't though. That sounds like too much work. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'm going anyway. Back to this one, Jaguars. So they're getting Minshew back, and then on the Ravens side of the ball, they're coming off a short week, big win over the Browns to stay in the playoffs. But they expended a ton of energy and suffered some key injuries in that game. They lost a couple defensive backs, Jimmy Smith and not Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters. In that game. So they had to use Devontae Harris, who was abused in coverage by the Browns late in the game. They basically drove down the field throwing exclusively at him for a good chunk of it. So if neither of those players can come back, then the Jaguars receivers are going to be able to move the ball against the Ravens and at least keep this close because Minshew doesn't turn the ball over. That's one thing he's pretty good at. He avoids interceptions. So with this being a 2-touchdown spread, I think that I would favor the Jaguars getting the cover here. And no, I don't think they'll beat them. I think Ravens are going to have a great game. Lamar Jackson's going to run like crazy. And they'll definitely win, but it might not be by 14. It could be 10 points. And, if depending on the point in the game we're at, Jacksonville could be down 14, drive for a last-second touchdown to cut the lead in half. So I think the chances of a backdoor cover are high here. So I'll be on the Jaguars for 2 to 4 units. I just think it makes sense.
Yeah, I have that same exact unit count. And it really depends on the Raven cornerback situations. Like if they have multiple missing cornerbacks, I think that gives the Jaguars a good edge with their receivers. Like they have talented receivers. And Minshew, like you said, he's not going to make mistakes and he's going to move the ball and he's going to be in position to score. The Jaguars were so close to getting the backdoor cover against the Titans last week, even though it was a 31-10 game. The Jaguars were in the red zone twice in the fourth quarter. And if they just converted the touchdowns, it would have been 31-24 and they would have covered by half a point. And Minshew only had he didn't even have half the game. He only had half the game to do that. Like Glennon was so bad. So yeah, I have more faith in Minshew with the Jaguars, and like you said, the Ravens are going to be so exhausted after that Monday game. Not only just an emotional win, but on a short week, it's going to be pretty brutal. It's going to be tough for them to come back, and I just don't really see them focusing against the Jaguars. Like why would they even try that hard against a 1-12 team after such a big win like that? But the Jaguars have kept games close. They've lost by more than 10 just twice since week 6. And that was the one game was last week, which is almost a cover. And then the other one was against the Steelers with Jake Luton starting. So I feel like that, the Jaguars should probably keep this game close again. This line's very high. The advanced spread on this game was Ravens -11, and it's moved 3 points based on what happened in the Monday night game. And I don't think that's correct. I think 14 is not like a key number, but still moving at 3 points, I think is too much. So yeah, I definitely like the Jaguars. I think this is probably going to be like a 7 to 10 point game.
Yeah, that line move doesn't make much sense to me. Like they scored a ton of points, obviously, but they did it on the Browns defense and it was in a back and forth shootout. Like it's not like they came in and crushed the Browns. They ended up winning by 5 points, but it was pretty much a 3-point game at the end. So, the Browns also don't have that great of a defense outside of their defensive line. Granted, it's better than the Jaguars, but, I think the Jaguars offense is better than people give it credit for too. So I'm glad we're on the same side in this one because I was like, do I really want to pick the Jaguars? But yeah, this number's too high.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't really make much sense for the line move 3 points. It was a fun game to watch for sure. But I don't think it was an impressive win because they couldn't stop Baker Mayfield at all. And like, I know, I agree. Like, part of that was the cornerbacks getting injured, but still, they allowed 42 points to the Browns. Like, it shouldn't happen. The Baltimore defense is not the same. And remember, the week before, like, Dallas was moving the ball pretty well. They just missed some field goals, and they kind of sputtered in the red zone. And maybe that happens again. Maybe the Jaguars screw up in the red zone, and they've had kicking issues. And, maybe the Ravens won by 20, but I think there's a better chance that the Jaguars cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.